Welcome along to today's video. My name is Andy Carter and today we're going to be talking all about these bad boys. We're going to be talking about hips, how the hips move during the golf swing, a few of the tendencies that I see amongst a lot of amateur golfers and maybe even misconceptions about how the hips should turn and how you're trying to make them turn when actually we maybe need to turn them in a slightly different way. So guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you are all doing fantastic. I hope the game is improving with all the tips that's going on the channel. If you are enjoying the content here from Dubai, and I've been all over the place very recently, so it's been a great journey so far in 2022. So if you are enjoying the content, please do hit that subscribe button. But for today's video, let's get stuck into talking about these hips. Now, I see a lot of issues with golfers that kind of move their hips from side to side as they start to move away from the ball. So the rotation of the trail hip kind of moves over the outside of the trail foot as the hips rotate. So hip rotating there is a good thing, but not when the weight transfers to the outside of that trail hip, because what it's going to effectively do is move you further away from the golf ball, and that is not where we want to be at all, is it? Because it's going to be very, very difficult to transfer the body weight back to the ball. Now, some golfers are actually good at transferring back, but as you'd expect, you're going to get some key inconsistencies with the outcome of the shot, whether it's going to be fat or thin or toppy, or there's a lot of things that could probably go wrong with that course of events. So one of the things we're going to be talking about is this trail hip to start with. So as I take this club away, what are we going to try and make sure is that the rotation is not with any lateral movement, and that's the key. Rotate, don't go lateral. Rotate, don't go lateral. So a great drill for this, you put the club right in front of your chest, right in the middle of your stance, take your posture. I want you to learn, and honestly, this is a learning process for those that have never done this before. Learn how to separate the shoulders from the hips. So that's why we've got the hands on top of the club, and that's why we're into posture. We're going to be rotating the hips, okay, without moving the shoulders, because a lot of golfers will want to try and do this, and they'll want to start to use the hips and the shoulders at the same time. So this is a really, really good drill. Use your hips and not your shoulders, okay? Also, what you're going to try and find is you don't want to push your hips to the side. Now, if you are, we see this a lot with the younger golfers, the younger amateurs, maybe 12 to 18 years of age, that don't really have great core strength, they'll often kind of do a lot of this movement because they don't have the understanding of how to use the lower body, and they don't have this core strength to be able to rotate the lower body. So again, this could happen for older golfers as well if you're struggling with flexibility, and again, even core strength as well. So this is a great exercise for everybody to work on. I do this on a daily basis, to be honest, just because it just gives you the sensation of rotation, and also you can start to feel where the body weight is. So I can feel that when I rotate this right hip back, I can feel my left knee come in, and I can feel a little bit of weight on the instep of my left foot, but I'm making sure I don't have any weight on the outstep of my right foot, okay? So I'm trying to stabilize this right knee as my right hip goes back, and that's key. So I've got this right quad tensed, okay? So the right quad's tense as the right hip goes back, and then we're gonna do the same on the other way. I'm gonna make sure this left knee doesn't start to push out this side. Left knee's gonna rotate, sorry, left hip's gonna rotate, left knee's gonna be stabilized, and then you'll notice my right knee comes in, and then my weight goes down the inside of my right foot. And again, this puts to bed a few other differences in terms of how people will start to move this way. I see this a lot with golfers actually taking the backswing and moving that way. Now I've loaded into this right side, the right leg is straightened, the hip has come on the inside of the middle of my stance almost. Well, how do you hit the golf ball from there? You will always go back this way. Your body will move you out of the way from being a very kind of cramped, tight position, and it will push you back up through this left knee and into your right foot, and now the weight transference is completely wrong. So it's massively important to understand how the hips rotate in relation to the shoulders, because they work separately. They're on two very different separate axes, therefore they need to be, it's important to understand exactly how they work together. So from the top of the backswing, I'm going to make sure that right knee has been stabilised. I can feel a bit more weight down the instep of my right foot. Oh, I say it every video. I hit the ball so well on these tip videos and then it just doesn't work on the golf course. It does work, it does work. I just choose not to do it because I'm an idiot like that. And you know what? Probably aren't we all? We all do it. Okay, so that's the right hip. We've got to make sure the right hip doesn't go lateral as we turn, and we just make sure the right hip also doesn't move towards the left as we rotate. A good feeling for this is the right glute just rotating back to the target as the body weight stays central. So we're going to see the right hip go back as the right knee stays stable. We're going to feel a bit more weight down the inside of that right foot. Then on the downswing, we're going to feel the left hip then start to work away from the target. Now again, when we did that drill before, where we got the hips moving in this direction, look how my knees move. That's a natural movement for my knees to move, completely natural. Okay, it's not forced, it's a hip. As my hips rotate, my knees do what they're doing right now. So when you get the golf swing going and that left hip starts to move away from the target, that's what you should see from the right knee as well. The right knee is going to move in. Also, in terms of rotation, we're never wanting to, I see this a lot as well, as we load that front foot too much, the hip angle completely changes. So if anything, my right hip goes back, my left hip comes forward, and in doing so, they then need to be rectified to hit the shot. And that's how we get into all sorts of trouble. So we've got to make sure that we stabilize this right knee as the right hip goes back, and then on the way through, the left hip goes back as the right knee moves in. Oh, that's not a bad shot. I completely aimed in the wrong direction, but it wasn't a bad shot at all. So guys, if you've got any comments on this video, please do drop them down below. Hip turn is massively important to understand how the rest of the swing path works. So if you've got any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Also, if you've got any tips that you would like to see on the channel, please also drop them in the comments section below. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Always a pleasure to help you out, and I'll see you again very, very soon.